So, I guess this is going to be a review of religion, I feel. Um, so I just watched Theo Von doing. I didn't watch the second part, unfortunately, yet. So what is more than likely going to happen here is this is going to be my review of Religion Part One. I'd say probably going to continue into Religion Part Two, Religion Part Three, Religion Part Four. Probably just keep going really with that one. Um, Now one of the things that I talked about earlier is so like I've had some fairly in-depth um conversations with people in various different friendship groups who are basically religious fanatics. And what happens is these people like when you see die-hard football fans and you think, why do you love a t-shirt that much? Do you know what I mean? Like, let's because I'm a Nottingham Forest fan, right? I'm from Nottingham. Um, I guess there is like a sense of what our town can draw in is what is on the pitch. It's rather unfortunate for Nottingham as we used to be one of the top teams in Europe. From the beginning of the Football League, we were for long periods of time around the top of the football leagues, at the top tier of football leagues, top tier of the football leagues. And for a couple of years running, we were top of Europe. This was like the 70s. When I was in my lifetime, we finished third. I think we might have finished third twice in my lifetime. And then when I was around seven, we just completely dropped off. And you think like, well, I, I understand that if you support Nottingham, like when you get violence from football matches, right? You really do think like it's some people kicking a piece of plastic around. Do you know what I mean? It's almost like that scene in American Beauty where the plastic bag is just blowing in the wind. It would be like if that guy was recording the plastic bag blowing in the wind, uh, and two people on opposing sides of the road just ran up and beat the shit out of each other. Do you know what I mean? And went, the bag blew that way. No, the bag blew that way. It's crazy. It's a crazy thought process. And this is essentially what religion does times a million. Because for me, I go, I like Nottingham Forest. I'll check the scores every so often. I'll buy a football shirt. When I was a child, the first thing I did with my pocket money, I saved up 40 whatever pounds that it was, and I bought myself, I think it was either the yellow and I had a few Forest kits. So it may have, I remember buying the yellow and blue kit that was way too big for me. I bought like the size that like a fucking 12-year-old should wear, and I was about 5 or 6. Um, I bought I don't think that was my first shirt, but that was what I did with my first set of pocket money. I saw they released a nice shirt a couple of years ago. I bought it, like the third kit. However, I'm not going to spend the fact that people spend all of their hard-earned money and go to war over this shit. Nottingham and Derby and Leicester hate each other. Man United and Liverpool, do you know what I mean? They fucking hate each other, and it's like, yo, they're just lines in the sand. All these people, they just make money off you being stupid. And it's exactly the same with religion, but times a million. And what's funny to me is like I just watched the Theo Von podcast. I think Theo Von's great, and I think that bringing such a serious issue to a usually light-hearted-ish podcast is great, and it also allowed both of them to inject humor into this. Do you know what I mean? To laugh at the stupidity of what the situation is. However, they're approaching it from a very I'm Christian and Jews shouldn't have killed Jesus. Do you know what I mean? And Muslims are getting hard done by here. No, people. that buy into this shit are getting hard done by here. Do you know what I mean? People are getting murdered over lines in the sand. People are being brutally murdered. Children, women, men, all being brutally murdered. Raped. Do you know what I mean? That like seemingly just bombed, shot in the back with drones, and getting billions in the process. We're living in these societies where we go, it's not okay, right? If somebody, check how mad this is, right? If somebody steals from me, right, and somebody steals from me and breaks into my flat when I'm not here repeatedly, if I run up and punch that person in the side of the face, or if I go and burn that person's house down now, I'm in prison. I'm probably in prison. If I burn that person's house down, I'm probably in prison for the next 20 years, right? Yet our governments can over what they say is over a book, they can go in and commit mass genocide. It's so crazy. It's mad. It's mad. It's utterly ridiculous. Now, like I spoke to this religious fanatic who is posing, pretending to be somebody. Basically, what you have in my town is like, so I grew up going to a club. I started going to a nightclub called Blueprint when I was about 16. It played predominantly jungle, drum and bass, techno, breakcore. Was basically a place where you could go and listen to loud electronic music. Now, some of the nights were called like pure filth. Often the names of the people that DJ'd there, worked there, were high-ranking members of the scene, were the names of police officers from TV shows, names like Kavanagh, names like Sheriff Woody from Toy Story. There were lots of these people, and basically what the majority of the scene was a bunch of 35-year-old men and a couple of women selling hard A-class drugs, hard hallucinogenics to anyone between 14 and 20, and then basically just taking the piss out of them, damaging their psyche. And if you were a girl, you basically got fucked in the arse, recorded, and had those videos spread around from a bunch of 35-year-old undercover police officers who were basically seeing it as these are the reasons that they do this. They see it as if you're going out as a young person to take drugs or drink, that you're besmirching the name of God. Most of them were teetotal. This also went into a night called Phlebas in Nottingham city centre. These were religious fanatics who were 35-year-old men saying, I'm teetotal. Also, the bar Ride, where the owner was, we were going there from 14, 15, right? And the owner he was balding and he looked like an old man. I would say that he was at least in his 30s, possibly 40s. And he one time he accused me and this girl of stealing money out of his wallet. We were blackout drunk. I didn't even remember this the next day. People I was with told me this, and I thought, you look back on this and you think, that guy was sleeping with teenage girls who were blackout drunk. He wouldn't even be there for like the whole time that everybody was drinking and getting pissed. He wouldn't be there. He hardly spoke to anyone. Then he would come downstairs and then disappear off upstairs with these girls. We were drinking there from being in school, like not like 15, 16. This is like legit what these guys did in my town, and they were all friends with like members of the church, that church in the Lace Market. They still to this day like all hang around together. They all run like meme sites where they insult and bully people they don't like. They all like own businesses. It was crazy, and basically what they see is, I've been told by people within these churches, like even the ones that are drinking, they're just pretending to drink so that they can catch people out. They believe that by saying certain things, you're besmirching the name of God. that you're damaging your body. So they think it's okay to rape young girls and publicly embarrass and shame young men for enjoying fermented sugar. They use just the same as people use these books, just the same as people go, oh, my copy of It the Clown means more than your copy of It the Clown because it has some extra words in there, and actually you're really not going to understand it. You guys just don't understand this stuff. And due to this, people go to war and commit genocide. Like I'm talking about Bar 11, Ride Bar, Blueprint, run by paedophile police officers, right? That usually had shaved heads, like wax shaved heads. Often they would try to slip in with like white guys with dreadlocks, um, because they're all crazy racist. So they would create these like types of music like breakcore or jungle, which would be a lot of the time was just white people trying to get themselves into a black world by using samples that was just taking the piss out of people, taking the piss out of the listener for being stupid, basically. Um, this is what I've been and I've been subject to harassment and torture by these people my whole life. Like I basically accidentally infiltrated these people and never really, some of them I thought of as like some of them you can see that they're decent people. There are so many of them that have said to me like that they need to get rid of the people at the top because it's all too brutal. That they need a change in the in how things are run because it's just insanely cruel. And I can see that. I saw what happened to lots of these people that were sort of mainstays of these clubs because their home lives were horrible. They were dealing with, myself included, dealing with physical violence at home, dealing with parents that were throwing them out of their house. And then you end up going to nightclubs and taking drugs to escape that pain. And through escaping violence and pain, you have a bunch of police officers that believe that you should just put up with that you should respect the hierarchy of your family, and then would rape the girls and drug and debt up the boys and post shit and record them and post shit about them online. These were people that apparently like would say this these two people, these two 15-year-olds drunk in my bar, right? Just think about that. These two 15-year-olds who are both escaping not the best life, not the best family life, physically violent, not the best family life. These people, they may have, when they were blackout drunk and didn't even remember, have found a wallet and taken some money out of it. So I raped, but me, I have no responsibility here. I just raped a blackout drunk 15-year-old girl whilst going around telling everybody how great I am because I'm teetotal. Does anybody like get any of this? How mental it is? These are the religious fanatics that I deal with in my town. Um, one of the conversations I had with one of them, a female, I said like I don't understand because it's not hard for me to just be nice to people. It's not hard for me to just treat people with the same respect that they show me. It's not hard for me to see people that I don't like and to still just not be torture them or be any sort of piece of shit to them. It's not difficult for me to do that, right? So I'm always like, and I know that these people have been tortured by their family like bad kittens, like their face rubbed in piss and shit because they didn't piss in the litter box, didn't piss in the right place. Um, I remember talking to this girl and being like, I just don't understand why you can't just be nice to people. I just don't understand why can't people just be decent to other people? And she said to me, we tried that before. We tried that before and it doesn't work. She basically tried to intimate that people when there's no cruelty and when there's nothing to fight about, they don't reproduce. And you think, that's funny. So what you have is a bunch of people at the top of the food chain, right? Basically, people that are born into certain positions. It's got nothing to do with food chain. They're born into a false hierarchy, subsidized by pieces of paper, right? And what you have is these people that know nothing any more than you. Basically, what they do is they don't share information. They don't share information or knowledge with other people. They don't educate people. They intentionally don't educate people so that they can enslave them, so that they can use them so that they can have a good life and so that other people have a bad life. Um, and then they do stuff like they make money off selling tobacco. They make money off alcoholism. They make money off people attempting to fix people through alcoholism, knowing full well that through this attempting to fix them, that they usually get them intentionally put back onto alcohol or drugs, making money off it anyway. The church sell drugs, cocaine, cocaine, covert operative cane, weed, the drug that strangles up. Weed is usually something that you refer to as something that strangles all the other plants in your garden. Um, And basically, like if you went to a different country and everyone was like, oh yeah, we smoked this plant and they were all like half asleep all day, you would definitely want your whole country to be on that, especially if they were having problems with rebellion. Do you know what I mean? Especially if you believed as the CIA that the main war was fought on home soil from rebellion and people having their own ideas. So I spoke to this girl and she said, no, you can't do that. People don't reproduce when there's nothing to fight over. And you think, okay, so you sell people tobacco, you sell people alcohol, you sell people violence, you sell people all these ways of programming that essentially is you sell people slavery. You force people into an education system that doesn't educate them in order to enlighten them. It ships them off into a slave factory where they're either going to be slave masters or slaves. Um, Right, and but then they say that the main problem of being nice to people is that people don't reproduce. So you think, so you're going out of your way through the NHS, through hospital systems, right? The World Health Organization, a sword with a snake wrapped around it. You think you're selling death. You're forcing people, you're medicating people to murder them, to get them addicted to drugs and to kill them, right? You're selling tobacco to people to give them cancer, to give them lung cancer. You're showing people television programming in order to keep them secured, in order to break into their homes and to program them in their own houses. You're telling everybody that every single person commits sin against God so that they can go out and they can punish anybody that they want. They in different countries, they whip people raw for having sex. For people having sex outside of an imaginary contract, they murder them. They assassinate. They get these people from the church. They get these people that they call wild hogs to assassinate their character so that they can't be happy again. And anybody that refuses to assassinate their character, they torture worse than the person that they want tortured. And all of this, they say, oh, it's, yeah, but if you're nice to people, they don't reproduce. Yet they also then say that they murder people, that they rape children in order to toughen them up, right? They murder people through substances, they murder people through programming, they take people's whole lives away through working in jobs that have absolutely, that have a lot of give to society, have a lot of give to society. They line a lot of rich people's pockets for sure, but they have absolutely nothing of value for those people working in them. All they are there to do is just to live a life, paying out every last bit of money that they earn, they will pay out. And you think, so you're basically saying that you can't set up a society where people are decent to each other, right? Because then people don't reproduce. Yet you're murdering people en masse because you're saying that the population needs bringing down. Do you understand how crazy that is? Now, the thing about this Theo Von podcast is what happens often with people. They throw so much at it of it's Muslims that are the problem, it's Jews that are the problem, it's Christians that are the problem. No, it's controlling pieces of shit, sending people off to war. That's what the problem is. To carry out what they say is population control, just because they're miserable. We let 1% of people murder millions, and they say that it's their duty to God, when what they could do is just be nice to people and achieve the same thing. You look at the pollution of our land, you look at the pollution of our world, that's all through greedy pieces of shit. Pollu- Why do you think they pollute rivers and why do you think they pollute the ocean in certain places? So that they can make money off people going to swimming pools and paying for private beaches. Why do you think they poison water systems so that they can make money off bottled water? You know what I mean? It's fucking insane, man. And constantly, like, what one of the questions I wanted asked in that podcast with Theo Von and the Arabic comedian was, um, what happens to people in Palestine if they're not religious? What happens to people in Israel if they're not religious? What happens if if you say, no, I believe that there might be a higher power. I fully believe that there might be a higher power. I fully believe that there might be something to spirituality in an afterlife. I think that that's possible, but I don't want to choose a side because it seems utterly ridiculous to me. I'm choosing between two books written by different people, both basically trying to sell spices and materials, right? That's in essence what a religious text is. It's saying we're selling this idea of a man or a woman because our country can make money off that. We're selling this idea of what food is because our country can make money off that, right? And you think, well, I don't want to assign my spirituality and what I feel like deep down inside myself. Do you know what I mean? Like I don't want to. I have these things that feel like they're calling to something higher than me, and I'm not going to attribute them to false bullshit that men and women use to attempt to enforce slavery around the globe. Do you know what I mean? Don't allow me to love men or women. Um, Force me to hate other brothers and sisters, right? You think it's insane. It's insane what this bullshit is. It's insane what people portray these religions as and these religious texts as. It's disgusting. I think that every one of these people should go to bed at night and should feel disgusted with themselves. I think that like I don't have it anymore, but as a child, I used to go to, especially when I smoked weed, I used to think about, oh, I did that to that person. I did that to that person, and I feel bad about that. I hope that those people, now I don't really see any of those acts as bad. I hope that those people still have something like a child that they love. Maybe a pet that they love and that they want to be nice to. And I hope that in those times that they feel happy, they have that creeping feeling creeping in of what the people that they have decided to be with align themselves with, and the murder and the slavery that they bestow upon the planet, the peoples whose lives they steal from them to serve men and women who believe themselves to be above somebody because they were told that they were by their book club. People that think of human life as a chess game. Rich people that have arguments across lines in the sand and send their people off to murder millions. And the thing is, saying it's population control is bullshit. Because when there was like 1 million people in the UK, they still went to war with other countries. It's utter bullshit to say that these things are population control. Because they've always pushed for people to breed more. It's what their religion wants so they can make more money off everybody. Um, It's horrendous. I hope that in those times where those people feel that happiness, that they feel the consequences in those moments. I hope that in those moments when they go to sleep, just before they close their eyes and they maybe blink, that they have that feeling in the pit of their stomach of what they're doing to other human beings. I really do. I hope that those people who commit all these atrocious acts feel the pain of what they put onto other people. And I hope that if I hope that there is some sort of higher power to an extent, because in my opinion, what I think happens is um, that those people do get their comeuppance, you know. And what I think is bullshit is that these religions, they use people like, so gypsies aren't actually like, you have the traveller community. The traveller community aren't actually like, we have this thing in England at the minute where we're saying it's all about Muslims, it's all about the traveller community. The reason why the traveller community are there is the same as drug dealers. Drug dealers sell drugs for the police and for religion. They try to catch anybody that isn't living the life that religions want them to live in their country by that rule of thumb, by that rule and order, and then they get them to commit worse and worse crimes through not having a brain that is able to exist in such a boring, monotonous life. It gets to like the traveller community where they do the same stuff. Anybody that thinks, I don't want to stay in the same chicken cage. I don't want to stay in the same chicken coop for my entire life. I want to travel. I want to see what there is to the world. They punish those people. They go out of their way to destroy those people's lives. They stalk them, they harass them, they break into their flats, they break various bits of property because they are also all part of the same organization. This is how religion really works. It is not telling you to go out and love your brother and sister. It is some 40-year-old. It is some 40-year-olds who think that because they wear a black hat and a uniform, that they can go out and rape blackout drunk 14-year-old girls to teach them a lesson about how they're dealing with abuse at home. That's what religion is. That's what I found religion to be in my town. It is getting everybody in England to blame Muslims or Jews for them being unhappy when it's the monarchy and the church that are committing all the atrocities that are making those people unhappy, including the theft of their land, the theft of their ability to create agriculture to sustain their own lives. It's disgusting. And you know what I feel? These people often go out of their way to do what they perceive to be good things. I know that that a lot of these people that are trapped up in this life, I know just because that they have children a lot of the time, that they are going to feel that pain. They're going to feel that pain of what they have aligned with, because they're going to see it in their children. They're going to see it in their elderly. They're going to keep they're going to keep on with their foot down on the gas pedal. They're going to steam across the motorway and they're going to go so fast, fucking off everybody around them. And when they reach that point where they're elderly and they go, my government and my church doesn't give a fuck about me, their mind's going to be gone. Do you know what I mean? They're just going to rot, old and alone. And it's going to be to the point where they can't even remember the reason why they're there. Don't you think that that's so poetic? That the majority of these people that treat their family, friends, and their surroundings like utter scum, they are going to die old and alone. And they are going to feel that, or, because I'm more than likely going to die old and alone because I've chosen to fight all of this, right? And I'm more than happy to take that, because those people are going to die old and alone in a much worse situation, because they think that those people that protect them are going to protect them. And we're seeing, I've worked in old folks' homes. They don't protect you, man. They leave you to rot. These people are laid out in their beds, their bodies looking like a plastic bruise. I don't know if you've ever seen that happen to human bodies before. They're just like saggy skin and blue purple plastic looking skin. And they can barely form sentences. And once a day, they teeter to a room where a bunch of other old crippled people are sat, and none of them can remember their names, and sometimes they just burst out crying randomly. The majority of them don't ever want to leave their rooms. That's what your fucking religion has in store for you. That's what your government has in store for you. They're going to rob your pension so they can rob your savings before you die. After you die, they're going to rob your property, and they're going to take that much of your children's lives that they leave you to rot in near enough a terraced house with about 50 other old people that don't give a fuck about you. And they're forcing you to go out and treat people like me like pieces of shit. They sell you this idea of paedophilia. Look at these evil people that commit paedophilia. I'm telling you right now, I can name about 30 different men that have raped 14-year-old girls and sold them drugs and then gone on like they're teetotal proudly to everybody. Basically meaning at 3 in the morning they soberly fucked blackout drunk teenage girls. I've seen this shit all over my city, man. It's so fucked up. And they trap all these other people up. They get these people doing shit like basically selling sugar. They get people selling cocaine and then they'll go, under the law, you should go to prison for 15 to 20 years now. So basically, you can go to prison for 15 to 20 years and you can not raise your kids, or you can go and attack that person. That's how they do these people, man. And what is cocaine? How is it much more than a can of Coke? How is it much more than what the World Health Organization does to people? That is not me advocating selling cocaine. I think it's a terrible drug. I think it's pointless. It's just a coffee. Just a coffee with a few teaspoons of sugar in it. It's basically speed 8 times the price. I'm not advocating selling cocaine. What I'm saying is, how is it any different than being a part of the NHS or being a part of anything to do with the health service? And they trap these people up by saying, we're going to take your life away unless you go and murder those people. They are going to leave you rotting with no brain and no body. Do you hear me? And in those moments before you lose your fucking mind, when you're weak and feeble and you're having to rely on staff to carry you around, you're going to remember this if you're listening to it. You're going to remember going out of your way to embarrass a human being for trying to be nice to people. And you're going to remember rotting, begging for help, because that is what your government and your religion have in store for you.